Welcome to this explainer. I am so excited to jump into today's topic, mainly because we're looking at something you probably have sitting in your kitchen right this very second. We're talking about garlic. It's an ingredient that has inspired literally everything from ancient folklore to some of the most rigorous clinical trials happening today. So we're going to unpack the ancient history, the modern science, and honestly, some pretty surprising chemical twists. Let's just get right into it. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 5 main stops. First, the ancient wonder drug. Second, modern science validates garlic. Third, raw versus aged garlic. Fourth, muscle health and aging. And finally, number 5, crucial medication interactions. All right, section 1, the ancient wonder drug. To really understand how amazing this humble little clove is, we got to start way back at the beginning. What's truly wild here is just how universal this belief was across the ancient world. Picture this. In 1500 BC, the Egyptians were literally paying their pyramid workers in garlic because they believed it gave them superhuman strength and stamina. The Codex Ebers, which is this famous ancient Egyptian medical text, prescribed it for 22 different ailments. Then, fast forward a bit to 460 BC, and you've got Hippocrates, the literal founder of modern medicine, using it for lung issues. Roman soldiers, Greek Olympians, they all chewed it for courage and peak performance. And then, jumping way up to 1858, the legendary microbiologist Louis Pasteur officially documented its antibacterial traits. And actually, that brings up a brilliant illustration of why garlic was so deeply trusted before modern antibiotics came along. Look at that quote. It is astonishing. Its antibacterial power is so potent that during World War I, British and Russian soldiers were using diluted garlic solutions out in the trenches to prevent infections and gangrene. It was even known back then as Russian penicillin. Moving right along to section 2, modern science validates garlic. We definitely don't have to rely on ancient texts or wartime stories anymore. Let's head into the modern lab. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer scale of the research. We're looking at the most comprehensive meta-analysis to date on garlic and cholesterol, pulling together 39 primary randomized controlled trials. When scientists want to know if something works for sure, this is the gold standard. They tracked garlic's true impact on serum lipids across thousands and thousands of participants. So, what's the bottom line? It's this number right here, 17 milligrams per deciliter. The data showed that when used for over 2 months, garlic actually works. It reduces total serum cholesterol by 17 milligrams per deciliter, and LDL, the bad cholesterol, by 9 milligrams per deciliter. And why does that matter to us? Well, to put that into perspective, an 8% reduction in total serum cholesterol is associated with a massive 38% reduction in the risk of coronary events at 50 years of age. I mean, that is a real-world clinical outcome you simply cannot ignore. But cholesterol is really just the tip of the iceberg. Modern research has validated a whole list of benefits. It reduces the severity of cold and flu symptoms. It helps lower blood pressure. It's hepatoprotective, which basically just means it protects your liver against things like alcohol-induced injury. It's even been shown to help reduce waist circumference for people dealing with metabolic syndrome. So yeah, those ancient physicians, they hit the nail on the head.
All right, on to section 3, raw versus aged garlic. And guys, this is where we hit the plot twist of this whole explainer.
If you're thinking, great, I'll just go eat a raw clove of garlic and get all these benefits, well, hold on a second. The way garlic is prepared completely changes its chemical profile. Let's start with the raw stuff. When you crush it, it releases a compound called allicin. Now, allicin is fantastic. It's that powerful antibacterial agent we talked about earlier. But it's super unstable. It breaks down incredibly fast. And, as you've probably experienced, it can really upset your stomach and give you some seriously intense breath. But contrast that with a compound called S-allylcysteine, or SAC. When you take garlic and slowly age or ferment it in high humidity, it transforms into what we call black garlic. During that process, that unstable, harsh allicin breaks down and turns into SAC. And SAC is an absolute superstar. It's highly stable and it offers incredible, long-lasting antioxidant and anti-inflammatory protection. When we put them side by side, the picture gets really clear. Aging the garlic actually boosts its antioxidant levels, specifically that SAC compound, up to an incredible 8,000 micrograms per gram. You lose the harsh bite, the stomach irritation, and the heavy odor of raw garlic. And in return, you gain these proven, highly protective effects for your heart and your nervous system. It's literally a complete chemical makeover. Okay, Section 4, muscle health and aging. This brings us to some absolute cutting-edge research coming out of Japan, specifically regarding how our bodies age. Researchers in Tokyo were looking at aged garlic extract, and they isolated a specific bioactive compound called S1PC. And what they discovered is kind of mind-blowing. S1PC acts as a unique anti-aging tool that targets muscle frailty by doing something called supporting inter-organ communication. Honestly, this S1PC pathway is one of the coolest stories in human biology. So when this compound enters your body, it actually talks to your fat tissue. It wakes up these metabolic regulators. Then your fat tissue releases a specific enzyme into your bloodstream. That enzyme travels all the way up to the hypothalamus in your brain, and finally, your brain fires off signals to your skeletal muscles, basically telling them to get stronger. Your fat, your brain, and your muscles are all having a conversation, and it's being facilitated by a compound from aged garlic. How cool is that? And they proved this works. In an 8-month study on older mice, the anti-aging results were nothing short of dramatic. Giving them S1PC daily didn't just tweak one or two things. It reduced their frailty scores across 31 different health markers. It physically increased their muscle force and even restored their core body temperatures. It was basically reversing the physical signs of aging. But of course, we aren't mice, right? Well, they ran human trials too, and they found that a single 25 milligram dose of S1PC was absorbed incredibly fast. In just 120 minutes, literally 2 hours, it significantly spiked those crucial enzyme levels circulating in the human bloodstream. This stuff gets to work in our bodies right away. Section 5, crucial medication interactions. Now, as amazing as everything we've just talked about is, we really need to pivot to a vital safety warning, because natural does not always mean harmless. Please consider this an empowering warning for you and your loved ones. Garlic supplements are highly biologically active. Because they are so effective at doing things like lowering blood pressure and tweaking cholesterol, they can actually clash with prescription medications in a pretty major way. Let's look at the specifics. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin or aspirin, garlic's natural blood thinning effects can dangerously increase your bleeding risk. It's also been shown to actively lower the effectiveness of certain HIV medications. If you're taking blood pressure meds, throwing garlic into the mix could cause your pressure to drop way too low, which can lead to dizziness or fainting. And for anyone managing diabetes, it can lower your blood sugar a bit too much, risking hypoglycemia. So this is why it is absolutely critical to consult your doctor before starting a potent supplement like aged garlic extract, especially if you take multiple prescriptions, if you're pregnant, or if you have an upcoming surgery. I'd highly recommend using a digital tool, something like the My Cabinet app, to organize your meds, track any supplements you're taking, and catch these sorts of dangerous interactions early on. Seriously, don't guess with your health. While we have covered a massive journey today, from the pyramid builders and Greek Olympians using it for raw power, all the way to modern labs proving how it drops cholesterol, fights muscle frailty, and literally triggers conversations between your fat, your brain, and your muscles. But as we just saw, with great biological power comes the need to be incredibly responsible when combining it with modern medicine. So I want to leave you with a thought. The next time you see that simple, humble little garlic clove sitting on your kitchen counter, how will you rethink your relationship with this ancient biochemical marvel? Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and I will catch you on the next explainer.